Here we are, folks. Time to handle the last 4 glyphs. Our first stop is on the eastern face of San Pietro Castello, and is something that takes us to a higher end of mathematics. It's known as the Mandelbrot Set. This could potentially turn into a big mess of math, which I'm quite honestly a little rusty with, so let's get into more of a layman's approach to this. If you take something graph within math, such as, say, a hyperbola or a parabola, you'll see a pattern and symmetry and what have you. And with the Mandelbrot set, it's referred to as a sort of a fractal, meaning that it doesn't really adhere to this quite so cleanly. What we see here is the outline of a Mandelbrot set, just kind of a generic view of it, I guess you could say. Now, if you were to zoom in on one little teeny tiny area here, it eventually gets very chaotic and random in design. A fractal of this sort adheres to a fractal dimension, meaning that if we increase the scale which it is calculated at, you get a more varied design. To explain this, I'll rip the example straight out of Wikipedia. The initial outline shows the UK initially with very long lines. You're getting kind of a coarse estimation, but if we were to increase the scale, or rather allow much smaller segments to be used in the outline, the length of the perimeter and the detail increases considerably. However, if we were to say increase scale, or utilizing ideally a program, zoom in on a section of this, you would see an entirely different sort of pattern. In fact, if you could spend all day zooming in on a segment like this, you could very well end up seeing something entirely new that nobody's really seen before, and basically it varies infinitely. The game is most likely inferring here that the Mandelbrot set is infinite, or at the very least, it's part of a math that goes beyond mankind's present understanding due to aliens, etc. That, you've heard it all before. So hey, on to the puzzle. Okay, Caesar wheel again. Oh, my heart, it soars. So, this time we have some really freaky-deaky shapes and designs. Oh my, well, don't really see any real patterns here immediately. Well, take a look at the tank photo on the far left. We've got a bracket, but no number. Well, let's see. We can align the wheel so that the direction displayed, leaving it lined up over the 1. This, quite honestly, I'm not able to spot how you're supposed to solve this. Google led me really no solution. I mean, they led me to the solutions, but nobody really explained where they spotted this second symbol, and hopefully somebody will see it. But here's the thing. The odd drawings are incrementing upward by 1 angle or vertex. The circle is 0. 3 triangles corresponds to 9. The single bracket is 1, and so forth. The single bracket is supposed to line up over the 4 in order to get our proper answer. We have 2 blank slots over our other 2 answers here, along with dummy icons included. So, how do you get past this and solve the dummy icons if you were to find 4 here and line it up over the V, or the bracket rather? Well, you just count the vertices and you fill in the gaps for what they correspond to, and you get the right answer for 731. And done. Okay, let's read the letter.
They engineered the war, they engineered the peace, but they weren't going to get away with it. Find our mark.
So Hitler was supposed to kill a double and slip out to meet C. Who is C? Well, it's mentioned that the war was manufactured, so our main guess would be, in this case, well, Winston Churchill himself, probably. That's a notable C of the era, and, you know, come on, this is... well, this is already dragging a number of famous people's names through the mud, so I'm fairly sure that's what it's referring to. So, let's see. We got a picture of Hitler's bunker here, along with a code for a Caesar shift. A equals H. Okay, sure. We've also got a coded message here to the left. Now, I don't see mention of this anywhere online, so I had to solve it all by my lonesome. Oh my. So let's see here. It reads, "The double was killed in the bunker." Well, the solution to this photo up here on the building is up near its corner on this front face. It's the assassin symbol. Note the title of the puzzle. We watched the exit from above. He didn't see us coming. So the Hitler found inside the bunker itself was the double. It sounds as though the assassins caught the real one as he was hoofing it to meet with Churchill, leaving out the back exit. And we get our passcode, 01545. Now this is an interesting number to pick here because Hitler died on April 30th, 1945, the final day of the month. And what does this code here look like? Well, it looks like the first day of the 5th month, 45th year, or May 1st, 1945. The day after Hitler's suicide inside the bunker. It's possibly saying here the assassins made off with the real Hitler and killed him a day later off-site. Maybe they were, I don't know, trying to figure out information from him? Next is along the front face of the Scuola Grande di San Marco. It's the Nazca lines once again. This time it is the bird, or rather what folks assume to correspond to a hummingbird drawing. Not much else to it. Puzzle time.
It's getting harder. All the pain across time. It hurts too much. She sees me raise the knife. Only a little bit longer now. In the beginning, Genesis.
And here we are yet again with yet another Caesar wheel. Oh boy. At least it isn't a rotating wheel puzzle, I guess. Ugh. Okay. This one is also thin in details as far as solving goes, but I've got some info we can go off of. Okay, so let's see here. We have a 5 within the black and white brain scans on the far right. What's the 5 correspond to? Well, this is kind of interesting because we've got 2 of these symbols. Actually, here we can look toward for an answer. There's this equation on the left. We see this Y-like shape. But also, if you look closely at the grayscale picture where we found 5, between one of the margins, you'll see it again. So we'll just say that that's what it's corresponding to. So we've got this shape here equal to 5. So let's line the wheel up, and of course 0 and 3 are over blank spots. Let's see if we can spot a pattern. At this point, I should point out, if you're stuck on these, Sean and Rebecca evidently drop you hints, but I've never heard it, but it seems to happen because I've seen folks mention it online, so you must have to sit at these for quite a while for them to chime in. I've tried to figure out the pattern here, but it isn't really coming to me. I think you're expected to rifle through the given choices and pick ones that fall within the range before and after it so that it's sequential. Basically, the answer to this is to view the Y-shaped icon as a 1 and the mountain icon as a 10, or at least that's what Sean's hint is. So, from that, we can get the answer to fill in the 2 blanks. Okay, time to read.
The organization wanted the pieces. They tasted their power. But what were the pieces? Why did they work so well? It's as if our minds were made for them, manufactured to obey.
It's inside our heads, man. Controlling our thoughts, man. We're puppets, man. Oh, hey, you have a nice colorful picture here. It's real simple with no real clues. Just drag the cursor over them and zap in response. Then we're done. Next is atop Torre del Orologio, and we have our next glyph. These are Borromean rings. Borromean rings are basically 3 interlocked rings, forming what's called a Brunnian link. The geometry and such behind it is pretty mundane, but the symbol itself has some neat history. Okay, the name first off. The Borromean name comes from a family within Italy in this time, and it was used as their coat of arms. This family was known as the Borromeo. Thing is, the symbol pops up again within the 13th century Christianity as a symbol of the Holy Trinity. It then comes up within Buddhist art. Again, it comes up in the 7th century Nordic etchings, although it's utilizing triangles with the same general idea. A 6th century Indian figurine utilizing the circles has also been found. Adding on to the list, 2nd century Afghan etchings also reproduce the same symbol.
The end. Almost the end. It happened before. The pieces were once part of a whole.
Okay, so we have more paintings. Let's think about what we're given here. The top bar reads, "Once worshipped, now ignored, from a distance, it watches and waits." The glyph is also called the 4th day. Well, in the Bible, on the 4th day, God created the sun, moon, and stars. He said there will be light on the 1st, but at that point the cycle hadn't been established for night and day, I guess you could say. So prior to that, God himself was the light entirely. So I guess that means our common theme here is probably going to be the sun. Tagline makes it also sound so delightfully evil, doesn't it? First is this creepy one. It's a Nazca tile. Nazca drawings, of course, were drawn for the gods to admire, and they probably thought the sun god is an actual god itself. Watching down, they thought, hey, I'll draw something for him to look at. Next, the Aztec calendar stone. The Aztecs worshipped the sun in the form of Tonatiuh, the solar deity. Tonatiuh was seen as the head honcho up in Aztec heaven and was the ruler of the fifth sun. Apparently, our sun is so awesome that it kicked the asses of 4 other lesser suns before it, before ruling in its present place. At least, that's what the Aztecs say. Also, Tonatiuh was said to be the main reason the Aztecs sacrificed thousands of willing people every year, because it's said that he would refuse to move across the sky unless lives were offered to him. Third on our list, the Eastern Gate. This is a little ambiguous and could have a few meanings. First, there's a reference within Judaism to the Messiah's gate, or rather the Eastern Gate of Rome, through which the Messiah would come through. This is according to Rabbi Joshua ben Levi, and it was said to be the answer he gave the prophet Elijah when he asked him where the Messiah would arrive. An alternate interpretation was the Golden Gate of Jerusalem, behind the Temple Mount, which you might recall in Assassin's Creed 1. It said in Christianity and Judaism both the Messiah would arrive through it, but the gate was walled off by an Ottoman emperor in the 16th century. Some say this was due to defensive reasons, and others say that he didn't want the Messiah to arrive at all, and did this to prevent it. Fourth, the Book of the Dead. Now, in spite of how ominous the title is to this book, it was utilized by Egyptians to lead the deceased into the afterlife. In fact, one of the alternate translations of the book is the Book of Emerging Forth into the Light, so it's the handbook for going toward the light. Hey, how about that, huh? Anyhow, this book is rather a collection of scrolls and was quite literally worth its weight in gold. Not only was good papyrus expensive stuff, but getting a scribe in itself that actually knew of this and could write it was very expensive. It contains several, or actually I should say lots of detailed spells, procedures, how to preserve the body, etc., and was intended for richer folk in society. Apparently the process ended with leaving the scribings with the person that they were performed on, and for ages, folks assumed that when they opened up these tombs and found these scrolls in there, they thought it was a Bible equivalent. Anyhow, if all the procedures were done correctly, the dead person in question would be united with Ra, the sun god, in the afterlife, which is basically the heaven equivalent. Finally, the Sistine Chapel fresco. This one's pretty cut and dry, tying into our fourth day explanation. This here is a fresco of God creating the sun. And that's it. And yeah, we already know, game, it's the sun you're hinting at. Sitting up there, plotting, hiding secret codes and all that jazz. Okay, got a bunch of codes up here. First one. They died in the fire from the heavens. Second, near the day of purification, there will be cobwebs spun back and forth in the sky. Hopi. I'm assuming this is referring to the Hopi Indians or Hopi Sangs. Third, Toba, 75 Ka, was not a volcano. Fourth, a container of the ashes might one day be thrown from the sky, which could burn the land and boil the seas. Hopi. Before we wrap up, the Toba entry was referring to the Toba catastrophe theory, which occurred around 75,000 years ago. The Toba super eruption it's referring to was so massive that it made the Earth's climate do an abrupt about-face and led to a mass extinction event. In fact, mankind's population dwindled to nearly 15,000 people, of which you probably had only 1,000 or 2,000 total suitable mating pairs. Mankind became incredibly close to dying off in this period, needless to say. But enough of that, we are done with this one. finally, our last one is atop the Campanile di San Marco. It is, as most you will recognize, a pentagram. The pentagram has been, it's been attacked pretty heavily, and it's been soiled by modern Wiccans and neo-pagans. It has a deeper meaning behind it. The 5 points in Christianity are symbolic of the 5 wounds of Christ, or rather the nails and the crown of thorns. Past that, it is said to refer to the 5 senses, or the 5 elements. So how does it fit into the game? Well, it's actually utilized in some places by the Freemasons. Modern perversions of it, though, have led to it being less common in its usage within the Freemasonry. Its history also reaches back far prior to Christianity. In fact, the pentagram can be found in Babylonian ceramics, Mesopotamian ruins, Egyptian hieroglyphics, and more. It is said that the Egyptians utilized it to symbolize the night sky's brightest star, what we know as Sirius, the dog star. Some folks, in fact, tag this as the logic behind why the Freemasons used it, the fact that it refers to the brightest thing in the sky, rather than its Christian symbolism.
A few still know the truth. It is around us. Signs and paintings, faces, documents. But we don't see it. See, we are blind to our own creation.
No, why do you do this? God. Okay, this one seriously took me a while. There are guides on how to do rings, but, well, they're always very inconsistent. Which one's ring number 5? Which one's ring number 1? And they just don't work. I've done them forwards. I've done them backwards. They do not work. And God, this puzzle. In fact, you know what? I'm leaving it all in. You in high-speed glory. Me reacting to, wait, I turned this the right way. Or did I? Checking a fact to verify, then going back to a different one. Lame. But here it is, all done at last. It has been hidden, altered. Ooh, creepy painting. Christ, all-seeing eye, etc., etc. Well, there's not a hidden message on this following painting. The solution is up top, with Leonardo's sketch of the Vitruvian Man.
I can't do it! Can I do it? Will it set me free from this endless ring of time? I feel the guillotine cut my throat. The bullet hit my chest. The water fill my lungs. The blood spills out thick and red. It's time to get out.
And unfortunately, Subject 16 sounds like he's carried us about as far as he can. We have one last Caesar wheel, but no clue. What we do have is one thing, though. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. So let's do just that. Nothing is true, no right answer. Everything is permitted, hey, put in what you want. And just like that, it's solved. Fun times.
Oh, the moon. I can see the stars. My mind is gone. Lucy, I can't wait any longer. I'm ready to go. She sees me. Raise knife.
And this is where he offed himself, as you can guess. Back to the topic at hand, what we have here is Tim White's discovery in Ethiopia of Ardi, who is a 4.4 million year old hominid, potentially bridging the gap between humans and chimpanzees. But however, after further investigation, there's a lot of doubt and infighting within the scientific community as to whether she fits the bill or not. Partway due to the structure of her feet, she could very well have been an offshoot of the ape family that died out entirely, rather than the missing link. Abstergo, in an attempt to cover up what they found, are placing synthetic skeletal remains not far from where Artie was discovered, and dang, that's a little too pristine, guys. I mean, compared to what Artie looked like? Or Lucy? Oh, come on now. It's kind of a stupid bullshit plan. Anyways, as we drag our cursor along, magic occurs and Bones shift into regular old modern-day human form. And we're done. No passcode. What glee. Let's watch the final full truth video and listen to the entailing storyline and discussion. I'll see you guys next time.
I have it.
Eve,
Look out! Wow.
was that what I think it was?
We'll send the video out for analysis as soon as Desmond's done in the machine.
You okay?
He'd be able to explain the whole thing to us. If only we could ask him.